This is Straight Talk with Vijay Narayan, brought to you by Extra Supermarket.
Bula Vinaka, namaste and a good evening to you. What a special night. Tonight is the final say as far as the 2018 general elections is concerned, and we are so grateful, and we'd like to thank on behalf of our listeners and viewers also on Facebook, Fiji Village, that the FijiFirst leader and Prime Minister, Mr. Voreqe Bainimarama, and SODELPA leader, former Prime Minister, Mr. Sitiveni Rabuka, are in studio tonight to talk to you directly about the different policies. They stand on different issues before we go into the campaign blackout period and before you go to the polls on Wednesday. Of course, pre-polling started on Monday, finished yesterday, and we have, according to the Fijian Elections Office, more than 550,220 voters who are eligible to vote during polling day on Wednesday. 587 pre-poll venues have been successfully polled with at least 63% voter turnout, where a total of 44,667 voters had cast their votes according to the last count from the Supervisor of Elections. As of yesterday, the Fijian Elections Office had received a total of 3,360 postal votes, and this included 783 postal votes from serving peacekeepers. Now, 11,227 voters are eligible to vote through postal voting in these elections. Now, on behalf of our listeners again, Mr. Bainimarama, thank you very much for accepting our invitation.
No.
Mr. Rabuka, thank you very much for accepting our
No,
invitation.
Vijay. No.
For viewers and listeners, the questions that we'll ask the two leaders tonight has come from the different talkbacks we've had, the emails, the text messages that we've received, and the different policies that people have been asking about. So we'll get straight into it. First of all, Mr. Rabuka, in 5 minutes, please explain to the people what your party stands for and at what it values the most.
The three pillars that we are running the party on: leadership that listens, compassionate leadership, and doing what is right with malice towards none. Upon those pillars, we build our dreams and our aspirations about the economy, growing that, about the social services. We also want to grow that, and we're grateful to FijiFirst government led by Prime Minister Bainimarama and previous governments. But we're thankful for what they have done and bringing the country to where we are. I believe that we can continue the progress, improving our internal relationships among the communities, as well as our international relationships with our trading and aid partners, particularly strengthening or re-strengthening the relationships we had with our traditional partners, those that fought for us and fought with us. And today we remember 100 years, at the end of the First World War in 1918. Today is the 180th anniversary, and we are grateful to our chiefs and men who served in that great war, and also those that served with us to preserve our nationhood, to preserve our independence or the British rule in our region. So we will just continue the social development programs, the infrastructure development, and also the commercial and grow our commerce and industries.
Mr. Bainimarama.
Vijay, ours has not changed. Ours is to build a just, fair, and progressive society that will benefit the people of Fiji. We also want to turn Fiji into a modern state nation. The leader of SODELPA has been harping about the widening of the road. That's exactly what we mean by making it a modern state. Build that, our airports, our jetties and bridges. We want to bring it, even the middle of Suba has now changed, has been transformed into, hopefully, people will see is a modern state. And that's exactly what we want to do
Now,
and continue to do.
Now, gentlemen, there's a lot of question about the 2013 Constitution and the 1997 Constitution. SODELPA has said, it's on the record, that it will try to bring back the 1997 Constitution. Can you tell the voters when you'll start that process?
We'll have to see the numbers after the elections. The Constitution of 2013 can only be changed or amended according to the provisions of the Constitution. And there is a set number of votes within Parliament, and after that, we have to canvass the support of the people, registered voters, and also get that percentage from the people. So it's not an easy Constitution to change. So we will have to go along with it. We will have to run with it. It is the rule. It's the law of the land. And we have to run the government according to that Constitution. If we want any change, then we change it within the provisions of that Constitution.
But Mr. Rabuka, it's been said in public meetings that you intend to bring back the 1997 Constitution.
Yes, we bring it back constitutionally.
You intend to bring it back.
Yes.
How are you planning to bring it back?
We bring it back through the provisions of the Constitution. If we get the numbers, we will continue. We will go straight into a vote in the House and then find out what the people on the streets think, the voters, registered voters.
Mr. Bainimarama, what do you have to say to that, the intention to bring back the 97 Constitution?
Well, we really don't want to bring back the 97 Constitution for obvious reasons. But the leader of the SODELPA is talking about bringing back the Constitution with the numbers in the House. He's not gonna do it. Won't be able to do it. The 97 Constitution is, I would say, is a racist constitution. So we don't want to bring back that constitution. The constitution, if you know, Vijay, that constitution allowed the sale of iTaukei land, like the 1990 Constitution, and we really don't want to bring that back.
Mr. Rabuka, he said you won't be able to bring it back. You had also said that you'll try the court process that before 2009. Is that also one option?
There is a court ruling on the Constitution that can be revived. The difference is the exercising the political will to bring back that court decision that the Constitution of 1997 has not been legally abrogated.
In the 1997 Constitution, you have your immunity with your group protected under that. There was a statement made by Mr. Bainimarama in Rauniivi where he said, "I wish Rabuka tries to put me in jail because of what I did in 2006." Mr. Bainimarama?
People had reported to me that was a statement made by the leader of the SODELPA.
Is that true?
I said I will look after him.
You look after him. How will you look after him?
Well, I'll allow the law, but according to the Constitution now, they are included under the original immunity granted under the 1997 Constitution. They threw out the 1997 Constitution,
so you can't do it.
but left in place that chapter on the immunity and included
you and your group.
My group was already there.
So he can't do it.
My group was already there.
That's basically what I said, that he can't do it.
But did you say that you will put Mr. Bainimarama in jail in any of the campaign meetings?
I did not.
You did not?
I did not. That is I am not vindicative. I will not personalize the law.
No. Let me get back to him. He personalized issues with me last week. So he cannot say he does not personalize issues.
Well, he brought that issue up on the National Bank.
Yes.
And then when we made that statement in good faith, I made that statement in good faith in a radio station owned by government.
No. He did not make that statement in good faith.
They decided to take it further, and it's now before the law, so I cannot comment any further.
Well, I
on
can
it.
comment on it because I have not been taken before the law. But really, you personalized the issue.
Well, you personalized first by
gen-
saying that you brought down the bank.
Yes.
If you had done the same research before you made that allegation, you would have found that it was a group of people, and it started before our time, and then we corrected it.
No, you didn't, and that's why it broke down.
No, we corrected
And
it.
you took out a loan of $206 million to cover the.
How much of that
the
was
fund.
repaid? Has been repaid.
We're still paying for that. We
How
still,
much of it was
the
repaid?
$2.5 billion that we talked about from previous governments, that's part of the $206 million is part of the $2.5 billion.
So, and how much of that was recovered in the recovery in the asset management bank?
You have the result. Let us know.
No. You came in after, and you accused us of bringing it down. You should have done your research as a responsible
But you did,
leader of a
you
government.
did bring it down.
No, we didn't. It had happened before. We corrected it.
No. It was during your time as Prime Minister.
No,
when the National
it had
Bank
happened
collapsed.
before. It had happened before, and we corrected it.
Vijay,
Gentlemen, let's go back to. That is a good discussion. We'll get into it. But first, I think it has to be addressed because the voters have been asking. You have said, Mr. Rabuka, that you will try to get the 1997 Constitution back, and people want to know what will happen to those who were involved in the events of 2006, in the coup of 2006. What will you do?
That can be put back into Parliament, and we can amend the Constitution according to the will of the people. According to the will of the people, include those that participated in 2000. So, as I said, he's got nothing to worry about. It has to be done within the law and within the legislative powers of the group in Parliament.
he's talking about 2000. He's not talking about 2006.
Mr. Rabuka?
2000 and 2006.
So
Because 2000 were not included in 97.
1987?
1987 is different.
Why is it
1987 is different.
Why is it different?
Because it was a coup against Her Majesty's government of Fiji, and Her Majesty's government of Fiji was displaced. And Her Majesty did not try to restore her authority and her realm in Fiji. The 2000 attempt and the 2006 coup were against the people's government of Fiji. Therefore, the people have the right.
So Dr.
to question.
Bavandra's government was not the government of the people?
No, that was the government of Her Majesty's government of Fiji.
But the people elected Dr. Bavandra's team.
It was the government, the Her Majesty's government of Fiji.
So there you go, Mr. Rabuka will try to get the 97 Constitution and go to the will of the people on what happens to Mr. Bainimarama and others.
Correct.
Now, going to the next issue in relation to National Bank of Fiji. Now, you were in government when that had happened, and you said you took corrective measures. The money is still being paid for National Bank of Fiji, according to the budget documents we've got here. There's still funds that are being paid as loans, and also in relation to comments that were made by these university lecturers who wrote an independent report, said that it was nevertheless a controversial appointment when Mr. Makrava was appointed, made without the foreknowledge of the NBF Board of Directors or even of the then Minister for Finance. The manner in which Visanti Makrava assumed duties was also irregular. On 2nd December, he walked into head office with a group of soldiers and took over from the acting chief manager, Harry Slater. It was a big promotion for the Rutuman Makrava, whose credentials were such as to make his appointment seem premature. He had received no overseas training and was at the time only an NBF branch manager. Were you behind his appointment?
What date was that?
This is in the 1990s, according to Growth and Mismanagement 1987 to May 1995 report written by Mr. Doug Munro, and it is a report published from former US
No,
lecturers.
that's the date of the Makrava's.
It says by the end of 87, when all these things started happening, 1993, around 1993.
No. When was Makrava appointed?
It says around 1993.
Who was
But
in
2nd
government?
December, they were saying Makrava assumed duties with a group of soldiers going in. Were you part of that group? That appointed-
1993.
I'm just asking, were you part of that group that appointed Mr. Makrava?
What year?
Mr. Rabuka, I'm asking you the question. You were the
What
Prime
year?
Minister.
What year?
You were the Prime Minister at the time.
In 1993, I was Prime Minister. When was
They're
when
saying 2nd
Makrava-
December 1993.
That was when he became.
According to this report, it's giving details about this. I just
Well,
want to
you
know.
better check on the accuracy of that.
So soldiers did not go in, and
The
Makrava
soldiers
did
had
not
no
go in.
role at that time.
So this
1993,
report
we had a democratic government elected.
is in
And the
1993.
soldiers at the time were not interfering with government.
So Makrava did not go in that way to get appointed.
Not that I know of.
Okay. Now, the other issue is in relation to the money that's been paid. The report again says a total of $209 million was raised in government bonds in 96 to 97 to repay depositors at the NBF. Interest rates on the NBF loans range from 7% to 9.99%, and close to $16 million in interest payments per annum were being paid. Were you aware of this when the loan was taken?
Yes, it is part of the NBF aim to allow more people to borrow at low interest from the National Bank so that they could start up their small businesses.
Now, Mr. Bainimarama, you saying that the NBF issue, of course, you were still dealing with it because you still have to pay for the loan. What do you have to say about that?
Well, the leader of SODELPA has mentioned that I should be taken to court for what I did in 2006. I think he should be taken to court for corruption. The agriculture scam, a lot of people got away with it. The big wigs got away with it. The small fries were taken to jail. I think somebody should open that investigation again and find out exactly who was responsible so we can take them to court.
Do you believe the National Bank of Fiji investigation was done fully? Because there's...
No, it wasn't.
What's your comment on that? There were still calls for an independent commission of inquiry that they said wasn't done.
The police is there to investigate. If it was beyond their capability, then they would have recommended through the Minister for Home Affairs that an independent board be set up. Why get an independent board when you have a competent organization to do the investigation? Like the Fiji police.
Do you believe a thorough
Guess who was the
investigation
commissioner of
was
police
carried out?
then? Who was the commissioner of police?
You ask him?
Who was the commissioner of police?
The commissioner of police was Colonel Savua, and he came up to say, our expertise in this area is limited. We would like to recruit overseas forensic expertise to come and help us with this. And we allowed them.
Mr. Bainimarama, do you believe enough was done?
Not enough. Not enough work was put in place to conduct an investigation that DPP should have brought in. She was not given a leeway to do that investigation, so everyone got scot-free. Everyone got scot-free.
Mr. Rabuka?
I don't believe that everybody got away scot-free. I believe there were some who who lost their properties through mortgagee sales by the bank to recover the costs. Some were taken up for...
No, what I meant was the people responsible for the loss of the bank got scot-free.
It's a personal. The onus is on persons, not the government. The government is in place to look after the assets of the people.
There you go.
There you go. That's in relation to the NBF. Mr. Bainimarama says not much was done. Mr. Rabuka said he saw it not necessary to appoint an independent commission of inquiry. Is that correct?
We didn't see that it was necessary, as we had the police commissioner said it was properly equipped, and asked for that additional expertise, and he carried on and did the investigation.
How do you feel that the people of Fiji are still paying for the loan?
We're still paying for so many loans and so many mistakes, but this one was caused by bad management, was caused by unfair means by some people who went to borrow and took advantage of the scheme of low interest rates given for small business enterprises, and got away with it.
Now,
The same happened in Fiji Development Bank.
you say you've got a list. What did you do with it?
The list came from the police. They went on with their investigation.
Did you make sure that they pursued it further and people were held
Well,
accountable?
yeah, they did. They did.
Mr. Bainimarama, do you believe
The
enough
list
of
he has, the list he has got is an outdated list. It's not an updated list. That's when he put it forward last week. He was very personal about it. He personalized the issue because he was caught in a jam. He couldn't answer why the bank of the NBF, the National Bank, collapsed during his time. I'm worried now that there's now a government bank, HFC. Maybe they're looking at collapsing it too, if they come into power.
Now, moving on, gentlemen, there have been a lot of questions from people. They have sent us messages. You have spoken at different campaign meetings about these issues, and people would like to hear from you. You are former commanders, former prime ministers. From your assessment, Mr. Rabuka, people are wanting to know on why you conducted the 1987 coups and why did it become so necessary to do that?
Why are you going back to the 1987 coup?
Because we have been
We're not going back to
receiving-
the
we have-
2006 coup.
We will also ask Mr. Bainimarama tonight.
Good.
So I'm asking you first.
Well, I felt that the Fiji was not ready for an Indian leader.
So because of that, you remove the government.
Correct.
Okay. Do you believe that Fiji is ready now?
I don't know. Let the people decide.
Mr. Rabuka, thank you very
No,
much.
no, no. You should answer that question, because if he removed the government then, he should be able to tell us.
See,
if
we
we're ready.
we removed the government then, and then we set in place a process of bringing the races together. And from 1987 to 1997, we managed to do that well. And in 1999, during the elections, we were prepared, or the SVT was prepared, and the National Federation Party was prepared to work with us. And we lost, and we just took it, we accepted it.
And you resigned,
We had
you resigned
come
from Parliament.
we were poles apart, and we tried to bring the two races together. It was a period of détente. It's a period of rapprochement. These are French terms, and it's about reapproaching and loosening the tension between the races. So when we brought the two races together, we thought we were doing well, and we came up with a constitution that both the government and the opposition agreed with.
Vijay.
That was the.
If you have a question
Vijay.
between the gentlemen, you can
I
go
have a
ahead.
question for him. He said that he wasn't ready for Indian Prime Minister. I want him to tell us if he's ready for the Indian Prime Minister today.
Yes.
Well, he said
If
initially he
Federation
said-
Party wins,
he said initially
wins-
he said I don't know.
well, if the National Federation Party wins enough seats, a bigger share of the seats than ours, and he invites us to work with them, we're willing, and with their leader to be our Prime Minister.
You had said earlier that you didn't know, so you've made up your mind.
Well,
now.
I don't know whether the people are, but the people will vote. And when they vote, that is it. They cast their vote, and if it goes in favor of the National Federation
So
Party, we
he's
go with it.
agreed. He's agreed to having an Indian Prime Minister now.
Now, as far as the 2006 coup is concerned, Mr. Bainimarama, why you conducted the 2006 coup and how it affected the country, why did it become so necessary to do that?
No, Vijay. That's a wonderful question for me to answer because I keep telling everyone that the problem he caused in 1987, I had to do the cleaning up in 2006.
What was it?
He took apart the races. We remember what happened in 1987.
He's forgotten that I've just said that we went through the reconciliation process and brought the two races together.
No.
And then
I'm talking about what you did in 1987.
I did that in 87.
Not after. What you did in 1987.
I did that in 87.
Good.
But I learned from it, and we brought the races together for 97 Constitution and 99 elections. We lost and we took it. We accepted it.
I've done a better job in bringing people together than you.
How have you brought us together? How do you know we are together?
Well, it's only you that is not together with us because we've moved on with the new constitution, which has brought equality.
The constitution that you imposed on the people of Fiji?
No. That's beside the point.
You imposed on the people of Fiji?
That's beside the point.
No, it is imposed.
You imposed the constitution. Remember in 1990?
1990 Constitution was
Remember
agreed to by the Great Council of Chiefs, and it was an interim constitution because it says within that constitution it must be reviewed within 7 years.
But
it was reviewed and enacted in 1997.
But
so I kept my promise. I took it through the review process, and the people agreed, and the people gave themselves that constitution, not this one.
That's besides the point.
Mr.
That's besides the point. I keep saying that I brought the people together better than you.
My question exactly on that, Mr. Bainimarama, why did it become so necessary to do the 2006 coup?
Well, if you remember what had transpired after the 2000.
Ask him about 2000.
Yes.
Who inspired those people? Who took part in the 2000 coup? They were soldiers under his command.
No. Don't bring that up. You don't.
No, I got to bring it up. You were commander.
But yes,
every military officer and serviceman at the time was under your command.
You've forgotten you trained them.
I did not train them.
They came into being during your tour.
Yeah, it was a special unit.
Exactly.
Exactly like the special unit they now have in the army.
We'll go to the CRW unit, but can you please answer that? 2006, why was it so necessary to do that?
Yes. You remember the events of 2000, where again, half of our population were messed up, the women raped, the shops and stores.
Your numbers are wrong.
Raped, looted, and it continued. The policies of the SDL was nothing different from what transpired in the 2000 and 1987. So I thought enough is enough. We should get away from this. We should be one. That's why we brought in equality in the constitution so that we continue as one. We cannot prosper in Fiji if we are segregated.
Now, we will go to the issue regarding 2000, Mr. Rabuka, because you have brought that up. But there's one issue that you have brought up is establishment of a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to heal division and scars left by the events of 2000 and 2006. It is intended for reconciliation, forgiveness, and mercy. That's in the manifesto. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a bit about that for our people?
Well, the government that came into being after 2000 tried to do that and was opposed by Bainimarama and the group.
Failed miserably.
But it was a good one because it would have brought the people together.
Is that the reconciliation bill?
Yes, the Truth and Reconciliation Bill. But I think an essential element of that is that we all discard our immunity. And we all subject ourselves to that commission. We all discard our immunities and come as ordinary citizens to be investigated, for us to confess, to ask for forgiveness from the victor against the victims, the aggressor against the aggrieved, and so on. And we try and bring everybody together. And the reconciliation thing is not one where you are aiming at putting somebody in jail. If that is an outcome, it will be an independent and international commission, not our own, that will come and do that. There is a lot done by even Mr. Jairam Reddy participated in one. And that resulted in only a very, very few who were involved in atrocities.
Vijay, I have a question for the leader of the opposition, the leader of SODELPA. He's talked about reconciliation for 2000 and 2006. What did happen to the reconciliation in 1987?
Same. We all come out.
But it's not in your
But it's
manifesto.
not in the
87.
manifesto.
No. Well, if it's not there, then it'll be.
So
because
you will put 87
Write it
because
down.
there are certain senior members.
Put it down, Vijay.
Senior members of the party who believe that it should also cover 1987.
But
because
it's not in your manifesto at the moment.
Probably
No,
missed it.
because
Skipped it.
because we have done that. We have done. I told you that we have done this bringing the races together, and we had carried out my own apology to the aggrieved in 1987. We had a public meeting at the National Stadium where I publicly apologized, and I personally apologized to those affected. To the family of Ratu the late Ratu Serpenang and Lau, my own commander, Ratu Brigadier
Vijay, just write it down.
Peli.
Make sure it goes down there in the manifesto.
We can amend it. We can amend it. Now that you brought it up. But we are only looking at what has separated or divided us so sharply. And that is the 2006. Because soldiers died at the hands of the soldiers. And those are the things we need. And people are still crying because of that.
Reconciliation
People are
bill.
still crying over the 1987. Everyone that disappeared from here because of the events of 1987 are coming back. So I've done more to bring people together than him.
Mr. Rabuka?
He's blinded by the cronyism and the other isms that have come in.
All the isms.
You may have, he is claiming that he's cleaned up racism, but what about nepotism, cronyism, and all these things that have come up to divide us?
Define.
And polarize us.
Give an example of nepotism.
Nepotism, do you know the meaning of nepotism?
Let's go, gentlemen. Let's go.
See, he's the only
on.
smart one here. I don't know.
No.
I'm not supposed to know the meaning of nepotism.
No, I don't want to go into that because my
Don't go into that.
my family is very close to his family, so
That's besides
I
the
don't
point.
wanna-
That's besides the point. But you shouldn't bring nepotism into this place.
Yeah.
Now, in relation to the Truth and Reconciliation Bill, there was a lot of opposition to it when it came up, even from the Law Society, the DPP's office at the time, when the then Garase government tried to bring it in. There was a public outcry about it because
They didn't want it?
They didn't want it, and it would have resulted in people like Mr. George Speight and others being freed. It was
No.
part of the bill.
No, that's wrong. That is wrong. I mean, that is assuming.
No. I'm saying at the time
Yeah.
there was a public outcry about it, and those people could just go in front of a commission, say sorry to the commission, and be pardoned. So
No.
what are you looking at as far as your commission
a
is
Truth and
concerned?
Reconciliation Commission is much more than that.
Yeah, well, that's-
They go through into the whole process where you'll be looking at reconciliation. You're looking at restorative justice, where you try and restore to those that have lost things that they have lost.
Yes.
And you also have, and after that, you have this. Those that believe they are still victims will have the atrocities or the losses made up to them. That is what a real truth and reconciliation. It's not about releasing those who are in prison.
My question is to both gentlemen, because that bill had also the release of those who conducted the coup of 2000. Will you still have that bill in
No.
the way it was, or will you change it?
No, the bill will. No, I will not have it the way it was.
Okay.
Because we will allow the independence of the various pillars of state. The legislature will have to bring about the bill, and if enacted, then you give it according to the bill, according to the act that you're going to pass. If you have the numbers, then the machinery will be.
And you said everyone's immunity will go when they appear in front
Yeah,
of the
we
commission.
lose
Mr.
our
Bainimarama,
immunity.
what's your comment on that?
On what?
On the Truth and Reconciliation Commission? that
Well,
he's talking about?
I made my point, Vijay, in the events of 2006. Those are some of the racist bills that would have brought down our economy, would again continue to remove the Indo-Fijian people from here, like he started in 1997. So, really, what I did in 2006 is to clean up the mess that he started. If he had remained a strong leader in 2000 and 1987, none of this would have happened.
His view.
Yes.
Now, moving on to the next issue, 1997 Constitution also has a number of communal seats, Fijian communal seats, that's for the iTaukei, and Indian communal seats for the Indo-Fijians. Do you want that voting system back?
Yes.
How
It's
many
all part of the 1997
So you want the 97 Constitution
Holus bolus.
the voting system to go
Correct.
in that way? Mr. Bainimarama.
No, I don't want it back. I want the one we have right now, open list with proportional representation. We don't want to go back to a racist constitution. Seriously, Vijay. You know, see, that's the problem we have right now. This is the Taukei land. Nobody's gonna argue with that. But we are now living with a whole lot of Indo-Fijians that are now been here for the last 100 years. And they brought prosperity to the land. We need to take that down. You have to take that into account. We
Why?
can't afford a racist constitution it's going to take us apart again. After all we've done to bring people together in the 2013 constitution.
So you will make sure that the ethnic-based electoral system does not come back.
Does not come back.
Now, going on to your stand on infrastructure development, there's a lot that's been said about the status of roads, bridges, water supply, and electricity supply. Mr. Bainimarama, what do you think you have achieved so far, and how Fiji has benefited from
It's
it?
funny, Vijay, because the other political parties, especially SODELPA, are saying that that's a work of a government, a duty of a government, responsibility of a government to do this construction work, the development work. But I'm telling them, nobody's ever done it at the pace that we've done it. And we spend a considerable amount of money in doing development work. In 2000, from 1980 to 2006, the amount was spent on development work was $3.5 billion. From 2007 to now, we spent $7 billion on development work. So you can never compare the two.
Mr. Rabuka?
I agree. The profile, we have seen a lot of things done, but at what cost and what is the quality of the work done? I believe that the cost is too much for Fiji to bear, and the quality of work substandard.
So what will you do?
We'll make sure that
You're going to destroy
work
the
done,
road. You're going to destroy the nice roads that we built in Nandi.
No, we will not.
And in Tailevu.
That's already there.
Yeah, the
We will
one
just
that-
make sure that
yeah.
it's properly maintained.
Yeah, good.
At the moment, the maintenance and even the original construction was not properly done.
That's,
You see
He's an engineer.
the time of the repairs after the roads were open. It's too fast, which means that the compacting of the ceiling and the compacting of the base was not properly inspected by those that should have been inspected.
Now on to the next issue about government expenditure, the mix between operating and capital. Of course, capital expenditure is always very important because that's where you see the roads,
And that is growth,
bridges
yes.
and all that. So I've got the statistics from the Reserve Bank of Fiji, where in 1980s, 90s, we had the operating and capital
1780.
expenditure mix between 70 to 80%. At times, only 10% was capital. 2018, even 2017, we're looking at around 60-40, 60% operating expenditure
it's really 59 and 41.
and 40% is capital expenditure. Now, What do you think of that mix compared to the one in the past where you were just trying to hold up the operating expenditure?
We had to start lowering our operating expenditures, and it was also part of the universal movement of reducing sizes of government so that we have more to spend on infrastructure. But we all want infrastructure development.
But at your
our
during
cost.
your term, why was it so high? Why was the operating expenditure so high? So that the listeners
Because
can
we had a
understand.
big government.
You had a big government.
We had a big government, and privatization, corporatization, privatization came into being. It was part of the movement of reducing the size of government so that you reduce your recurrent budget or the operating budget of the government, and that would free up money to use for capital work.
Mr. Bainimarama, talk about your 60-40 mix at the moment, or 59-41, as you say.
Yeah, 59-41, really. It was used to be 17-83. We brought it down to 59-61 because we've managed to have a look at all the good financing people that sat down together and looked at all the mix, and we come up with that. But he said that they had a big government. I think we've got a bigger government than they had in his days. We've got more nurses, more teachers, more doctors, more people working in civil service than he had.
Our population has grown.
Mr. Bainimarama?
Of course. But by how much?
The population has grown, and the cost of government is still too high. We need to bring that down, continue with our corporatization programs and privatization programs, so you release and ease up.
So what are you planning to corporatize and privatize if you do?
We haven't finished the move in the electricity. We've just taken one more step in the EFL. The original plan for that, which Mr. Chowdhury and the Labour government did not continue, nor did the SDL government, they should have continued that, so that less and less of public funds go into that area. Less and less of public funds go into the water. Those amenities, which are basic necessities of the people, we must reduce the expenditure of government in that. One good example, they have tried to slog a dead horse in keeping Radio Fiji going. That we're here and we're free to say whatever we like, and you are free to ask whatever question you like.
I've always been free.
Correct, but you can do that because this company is supported by the taxpayers, and you're listed in the South Pacific Stock
We're
Exchange.
not supported by taxpayers. We are publicly listed.
Well, yeah, you're
Mr.
publicly.
Rabuka.
So, not the taxpayers, sorry, the shareholders. So you're publicly listed. You're publicly listed, so the people contribute, and if you do a bad show, and they throw away their shit. But government continues to fund Radio Fiji. They fund FBC TV. And even when they're making a loss, government pushes it funds so that they can pay themselves
My
bonuses.
question is, what will you do?
We will just continue the program.
They will get rid of
continue
FBC.
and privatize, corporatize and privatize.
You'll privatize
Yes.
those companies.
Yes.
Mr. Bainimarama?
I'm just going to go back to the expenditure mix to say that we've looked after finances well, and we've used up money well, and that's how we got to where we are today.
Well,
59 and 41. That's a better mix than what he had in his days.
the term well is subjective.
40% of capital expenditure for listeners and viewers, you decide. 60% operating, 40% capital expenditure, more money being given to infrastructure development compared to the past. Mr. Rabuka, what's your aim? Will you be going for 60 operating, 40 capital expenditure, so that there's more infrastructure development?
It's like a person who is living beyond his means. And you cannot afford to spend more than you can earn.
So what will you do with your operating and capital expenditure? How
That
They're
will
going
have
to
to be
increase it.
looked at, and we may reduce the capital expenditure because there may be no need for for bigger roads, wider roads, and more roads. At the moment, we have good coverage of our road infrastructure. And also, we slowly program the improvement of those facilities as we move on, according to our means.
Your plans would see reduction in capital expenditure.
No, you are preempting an answer there that doesn't deserve. I mean, your question does not deserve to be answered.
doesn't
My
want-
question is just for the people of Fiji. If
Well-
you don't want to answer it, just say you don't want to
Okay,
answer.
no,
it. Okay.
I'm just trying to
Okay.
say that you are.
You don't have to
that's a-
analyze it like why
Yeah,
this
yeah,
and that.
because
and
it
let's
is,
go, move on from there. We'll be
it's-
here all night. Okay, let's go. Let's move on to how will
Because
you
you
increase?
just give
How
your
will you
questions.
how will you increase the wealth of the nation? There's a lot of talk about spending. I think all the parties are talking about how they will spend money. It's very important also parties talk about how will you increase the wealth of the nation over the next 4 years, and what's your plans and how will this benefit the people who are listening and watching?
We will fund and encourage the growth of what we have. We try and resurrect the industries we have and encourage them to grow, provide employment, and when they started, they had Buy Fijian, and very quickly we were importing things and people to come and work. We must provide the environment for our manpower to find employment in Fiji. At the moment, we're not.
Which
As
in-
you said in the answered in the earlier interview, more people or some people are now coming out and they are academically qualified but not finding work.
Which industries you planning to rebuild?
We will continue to improve the sugar industry. It's in a very sad state now. Successive governments have not really looked at it. It is an essential element of Fiji, and the agro-based industry and the agro-based industries and non-sugar agriculture is another area we need to build up.
Mr. Rabuka, thank you very much. Mr. Bainimarama, how will you increase wealth for the nation over the next 4 years, and what are your future plans, and how will this benefit the people?
Vijay, we've increased wealth for the people of Fiji. Initially, I talked about raising the tax threshold from 8,400 to now 30,000. So there's money available to the ordinary guy who used to pay tax when he was 8,400. I'm talking about free bus fare and free school fees. That's more money into the pockets of the people that never used to have that before, the parents. We're talking about the $1,000 grant. The $1,000 grant is for people to start SMEs and make money out of the small project that they have. We've got $14 million put aside for the iTaukei landowners to use to build businesses on their land. Those are the type of things that we've done over the last 4 years, and we will continue to do that in the next 4 years.
You're on Straight Talk with Vijay Narayan. Our guest tonight, SODELPA leader, Mr. Sitiveni Rabuka, and FijiFirst leader and Prime Minister, Mr. Voreqe Bainimarama. Now, another issue, a lot of talk has occurred, and a lot of people have sent us emails and text messages in relation to this issue. They've also called us in relation to iTaukei land security and protection. Now, Mr. Bainimarama, what do you have to say to that? Because there have been parties who are saying that iTaukei land is under threat.
I really don't know which party is talking about that, because I've told everyone all you have to do is open the Constitution, the 2013 Constitution, and it's safe in the pages of the 2013 Constitution. It was never safe in the 1990 Constitution. It was never safe in the 1997 Constitution. So let me put it on record, please, Vijay. All you have to do is get the people who are listening, the public, to open up Section 28 and have a look at what's in there, so that no one comes around and bring up all these sad stories about the land not safe. No iTaukei land is safe. Please.
Mr. Rabuka.
We had those legislations and acts that affect the iTaukei safeguarded in the Constitution. He probably did not read the previous constitutions. They had entrenched provisions, and the meaning of entrenched is they are dug in so that it's not easy for them to be changed. And if they were going to be changed, they would be changed with the approval of Fijian institutions, the Council of Chiefs, and finally the Senate with the approval of 9 out of 14 senators appointed through the Council of Chiefs from the provinces.
Yeah, I've got the 97 Constitution here. It states about you had to have the GCC members in Senate voting yes to any change to iTaukei land. Now, in
And set
relation...
majority in the House, in the lower house.
And 2013 Constitution has said that the ownership of all iTaukei land shall remain with the customary owners of that land, and iTaukei land shall not be permanently alienated, whether by sale, grant, transfer, exchange. Do you think that's well protected? And of course, any changes to the Constitution would require 75% of votes in Parliament and 75% of people or registered voters to say yes in a referendum?
Read that section again.
The ownership of all iTaukei land shall remain with the customary owners of that land, and iTaukei land shall not be permanently alienated, whether by sale, grant, transfer, exchange, except to the state in accordance with Section 27.
Where does the landowners' view count? Does it say?
That's my question to you. Is it safe enough for you?
No.
I'm asking you.
No.
So what would you want?
I will want it, the control, the final yes and no, to remain within iTaukei hands.
How will you do that?
We go back to the entrenched provisions.
I really don't know what he means by iTaukei hands. I think you should get him to explain that.
iTaukei hands means all the institutions of the iTaukei or the Matan to iTaukei. That is the Great Council of Chiefs, and the Great Council of Chiefs appoint a certain number of the members of the Native Land Trust Board. They also appoint members of the Fijian Affairs Board, and through those boards we deal with legislations affecting the iTaukei. When there is to be a legislation to change the iTaukei regulations, they have to go through that process. And the Parliament will have to debate the bill and get it passed with the right majorities.
So basically go back to the 97 Constitution.
Concept.
Now, in relation to loss of land, from when your government has been in power, has any iTaukei land been lost?
None. Not a single inch.
You have brought up the issue, Mr. Bainimarama, that Mr. Rabuka, when he was Prime Minister, Denarau was lost. You've been talking about it in campaign meetings. Can you two please discuss that for our listeners?
Ask him.
Denarau was subject of the Land Exchange Act, which means it was a legal process.
No.
It
There you
was,
go.
It was done
But
by an act.
Denarau was iTaukei land before?
Some of it was state land, and some of it was freehold land.
Okay, so
It was
Denarau,
done within the law. That's what he's saying.
can you please tell the listeners so that they can understand why you did it?
We did it because the developers had asked for land. We asked for the chiefs and the tribal owners of the land, native land owners, to consider the request. They came up and they designed government designed a concept of land exchange, where tribal land or Matangali land, state land, and freehold land were all grouped together and interchanged so that the landowners, the tribal landowners, were not deprived of anything. The state contributed freely, and the freeholders were properly compensated.
So Denarau land, part of the Denarau land that was iTaukei is no longer iTaukei land.
It's no longer part of that Land Exchange Act.
Did it go through this 97 Constitution, the clause, the GCC members?
It
did
was
they say yes?
it was an act, and it was agreed to, and we went through the process, and the 390 and his
So it went through
other
the
chiefs. Yes.
Senate and the whole process.
Yes.
And do you believe that that is correct, that iTaukei land can be converted and
Yes.
no longer freehold?
Yes,
or iTaukei
the same
land?
principle that they now have, where the land can be taken over by government for national in the interest of the nation.
No, that's different.
That's compulsory acquisition order.
Yeah, that's
That's the
different.
It's
different
been from
That's different.
1970.
That's different.
Yeah,
That's
1970.
different. That's different.
What's your stand on that? A lot of people are talking about that because Denarau and Momi keeps coming up. What can you say to
Well,
all
it's
this?
very simple, Vijay. In the 2013 Constitution, as it says, the land is safe. He's talking about the entrenched provision in the 1997 Constitution, the GCC, the Senate, all these entrenched provision, all this entrenchment must be so entrenched that they've forgotten what they should be doing, looking after the land of the iTaukei, because they were all there when it was supposedly legal, the transfer was legal. And that's exactly my point. Legal. Because in this constitution, the 2013 constitution, you cannot transfer that. You can sell the land. In the 1990 constitution and the 1997 constitution, it can be done legally. That's what he's saying. Really, what he's saying, if we go back to the 1997 constitution, we can sell our land and be happy. We can be rich. But after the money is gone, all the land is gone.
Mr. Rabuka?
No, there is no permanent alienation of native land.
Good. In the 2013 constitution.
And in the 1997 constitution.
No.
97 Constitution, you said you can sell it
Exchange.
if agree,
Exchange.
and you lose it forever.
No, an exchange.
Like Denarau, that piece of land can be lost.
Gone.
Can be exchanged.
Mommy is gone.
They got their land back from what was not previously theirs.
Voters, you will decide on that issue. Of course, iTaukei land, the different party leaders have a different stand on the issue on how iTaukei land should be handled. Now, moving on to common name. In the iTaukei talkback, there was an interesting discussion about that. Very straight answers, gentlemen. Thank you very much. I'll start off with Mr. Rabuka. You had said in the VTFM iTaukei talkback before this, you have an issue with the common name being Fijian for all, and that it should be changed. What can you tell the people of Fiji?
Well, I personally am
Agreeable.
comfortable with Fijian, but
Good.
the people I lead, the party that I lead, and I provide leadership that listens. I am not my own. I do not formulate the policies. I go along with what the policies of the party. And in this case, you're talking about a common name which belonged up to the 2013 Constitution to the native Fijians of this land, and provided for and encapsulated in the Interpretation Act of Fiji. And I don't know whether he has changed the Interpretation Act or not, but if you looked at it, the Fijian in the Interpretation Act referred to iTaukei.
Constitution is the supreme law of the land. The common name is Fijian for all. What will SODELPA do?
At the moment, we go along with it. We
You're
cannot
saying you
change
lead
it.
a party that has a different view on it.
If we have the majority in that majority that's stipulated in the Constitution, and if we can get the vote of the stipulated percentage of the voter population,
change
then
it?
we'll change it.
You'll change it to what?
To change what?
The common name.
We'll change back to Fijian for the native Fijians, and everybody else goes back to their ethnic identities.
So Indians,
Indo-Fijians
others,
and general electors.
general electors. Mr. Bainimarama.
Initially, he said he agreed with it.
Yes.
And then, good.
Personally-
So
personally.
really, I have no issue. But I have an issue with the differences with him and his party members.
Yes.
He suppose
I'm just a member of the party.
He's just said that it's a party that listens, but they're not listening to one another.
We are.
He's got a different view from his party candidates.
Correct. That's why I'm listening. I'm saying I'm listening because they say, "But leader, you can't force that on us. This is the party policy." Yep. You go along with your party policy.
It's scary.
That's the party I lead.
Mr. Bainimarama, common name Fijian.
Common name Fijian is.
You will go with that?
Oh, definitely, Vijay.
Why do
See-
you want to continue with that, Mr.
See,
Bainimarama?
Vijay, we're trying to bring equality to the land. We're trying to get rid of discrimination. And Fijian is a nice word that brings us together, that will move us together. Unless, of course, you're a member of the SODELPA party, you want to jump off the train, this nice train that's going forward with everyone on it. The Fijian, the term Fijian, circular state, all that is put in the constitution so that it can bring us together and take us forward together.
Now,
They have a wrong view of what Fijian, why we put Fijian in the constitution.
A Great Council of Chiefs. You had said that you will be looking at that issue as well. How soon will you be looking at that?
That one's very simple. It's only part of the Fijian Affairs Board or iTaukei Affairs regulations. So it can come immediately.
So if SODELPA comes in, the GCC
Will
will
be
come in
called.
almost immediately. Mr. Bainimarama, you have said that GCC shouldn't come back, will not come back. Why?
Vijay, we've been without the GCC for the last 9 years. Look at Fiji. We've done more development in Fiji without the Great Council of Chiefs. No one's worried. We've done more development. Not only that, we've managed to capture the iTaukei land in the 2013 Constitution without the GCC. When they were around, Momi and General departed from left the hands of the iTaukei. So really, I really don't see the need for the Great Council of Chiefs to come back. He had said in this meeting with Mbosini Momo on Friday that if the Great Council of Chiefs is taken out, I wouldn't be able to call Turanga Tudakau my chief. But I don't know why it's called. What is he calling his Turanga Tudakau now? It's still his chief. Hasn't changed.
At the Mbosini Momo, I read an article I wrote in 2007.
And the reason he
When-
wrote,
when
and
he
the reason
did
he read it
when-
was because he believed in it.
Yes, I believe in it.
Good.
I believed in it, and I wanted the people, when you write an article in the paper, you want the people to express their views. On what I said then, now that his interim military government had taken away the Great Council chiefs, what do I call my chief? What do I call my chief? Does it mean that it's taken away the status? And that was the question. It was an article that would generate discussions.
So what?
It's not
So-
my view. It was if he has ever written any article.
So
for
have
the
you
newspaper,
answered that question?
which one?
That is he going to be my chief or not?
He is my chief,
Oh, good.
whether
So
there
you-
is a council of chiefs or not. He is
Great.
still my chief, my paramount chief.
All the chiefs still
All the
remain
chiefs.
with their titles.
Correct, correct. But they must be part of our march forward. They originated this move, and they must continue to be relevant. They have never
Vijay.
been part of politics
Vijay.
apart from their appointments.
We want to live in peace, seriously. We're
He's the
talking
worst
about-
racist we have. He is
Seri-
anti-iTaukei.
No.
You look at all these policies,
no,
they
no.
are directed
That's wrong.
against
That's
the
wrong.
iTaukei.
That's wrong. I have more protection in the 2013 for the iTaukei than you can ever come up with.
And
in
what has happened
1997.
to us?
What?
You've taken away our institutions.
What
you want to
institution?
control everything about
No,
us.
but what institution are you talking about? The Great Council of Chiefs?
No,
I've just said it.
Provincial Council, the
What
Council of
provincial
Chiefs, the Tikina Council, the villages. You're trying to dictate to them.
No.
That is not our
Are they
fault.
serving the people or not?
They are serving the people.
Good.
They are serving the people.
Good. That's the more
And the
important thing
Council
than
of
anything
Chiefs
else.
can come back and sit there and
They've been serving the people without the Great Council of Chiefs, so I really see no reason
it's
why they should come
only
back.
8 years. Only 8 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
And see
But
what,
they can
see
come
what, see
back
the
and
development that
continue
we
to be
put in
relevant.
place.
They can continue to
See
be
the
relevant.
development that we put in place without the Great Council of Chiefs.
There you go, gentlemen. That's for the people to decide again. Two views there. The GCC shouldn't come back. That's what the FijiFirst leader is saying. And the SODELPA leader is saying the GCC will come back quite immediately if SODELPA forms government.
Yes.
Now, racial discrimination. In our nation, we all live together. Do you believe that racial discrimination has increased? From 1980s onwards, there's people who continue to raise the question, what will you do going forward to ensure that we move away from racial discrimination, move away from race-based policies. Mr. Rabuka, what do you have to say to the people?
I can say that race relations has gotten worse since 2006, and it's never been this bad before. And it's because the Bainimarama and his government, interim and elected, has proven themselves to be anti-iTaukei.
Wrong. They've just made themselves negative to the effects, to the events that have transpired, to bring about equality to the nation. That's really the gist of it all.
My question is in relation to racial discrimination. Now, some of the things when you classify it, if they are race-based issues, some people have said and messaged through that if we go back to the old system, where you line up, you only vote for your own kind, you have separate lines, you have scholarships for your own kind, which is separate. What do you have to say about that?
That is positive discrimination and affirmative action for us, because there are some kinds that are still lagging behind, and you have to give them a helping hand.
Mr. Bainimarama?
I really don't know what he means by positive discrimination. Seriously. It's discrimination. Period.
Every country has it.
Let's move on to the next issue in relation to scholarships. Now, there's been talk about TELS that you will take away the loans and the different scholarship system will come through. Mr. Rabuka, the question for you, because some of your candidates have said that the old scholarships will come back. That's the Fijian Affairs Board or iTaukei Affairs Board and Multi-Ethnic Affairs Scholarships, which is race-based. Are you planning to do that?
Yes.
What is the reason for that?
Because it brings out, as I said, those who are still lagging behind, and we're giving them affirmative action.
So you will have TELS, or it will be all race-based
No,
scholarships?
it'll all be race-based
all race-based scholarships.
Yes.
So when will you remove the current scholarships?
This one is on a budget.
Yeah.
As soon as we finish this budget period,
You will
we
go
will go
race-based.
into
How quickly will you do that?
very quickly, because this budget expires in August next year, and by then in July in the new budget session, we'll introduce that.
What about those people who are in
We'll
the
write off
system?
their debt.
You'll write off their debts
Yes.
and go into the new system
Correct.
of race-based scholarships. What do you have to say to that?
I have no issue, Vijay. I want TELS to continue because we have more people, more students of ours going into the TELS program than would in the scholarship program. And again, the way he's doing things is segregating the races, and he's blaming me as a person that's doing that. But he's really doing it. You look at all his policies. It's about taking people apart. It's not really good.
What do you have to say to that about race-based policies?
And I hope when he does that, when he brings about the scholarship, it'll be the 19,000 people, the students that are studying right now. Not 400 or 500, the 19,000 students.
We go back to the education system. At the moment, everybody just pushed through, mass-produced, right up to the top. There is no elimination. There is no quality control in education, where those that come through the system and qualify for academic pursuit in tertiary education institutions go into that, while the rest
Mr.
go
Rabuka,
into technical.
My question is, Mr. Bainimarama asked you that you are segregating people with these race-based policies. What do you have to say to that?
I will continue to look after everyone according to our races.
There you go. That's the SODELPA leader, Mr. Sitiveni Rabuka. Now, equal distribution of iTaukei land lease money. A lot of questions have come up in relation to that about the two parties, whether you will continue with that, whether there will be changes. Of course, a lot has been said during the campaign meetings. Final say tonight on that equal land lease distribution. Mr. Bainimarama, why do you think it is necessary to have equal distribution of iTaukei land lease money?
Simple, Vijay. These are some of the issues that the Tokay have been crying for the last 30, 40 years, to have a share of that money equally distributed. And this is exactly what we're doing, and they're happy about it. No one's complained. I know he said that the money that has gone as part of the list goes into building schools, and this has never stopped. It continues.
Mr. Rabuka, the equal distribution of iTaukei land lease money, you will scrap it?
We will scrap it. We will go back to the old structure where those holding titles, and chiefly titles in the land owning unit, will continue to receive that share. And if you look at how they use it, it goes back to the community anyway.
So there was a thought process that currently you can still have the equal distribution, and if a member of a Matangali says, I still want to follow the old system, he can always walk over to the chief and
Done.
say, here's my
Exactly.
share.
And that's
It's
exactly
come
what I.
through. What do you think of that?
No, that is not happening.
No, no.
No, I'm asking because the question came through our VTFM platform
Yeah.
in relation to that why don't you ask the two leaders if an iTaukei person truly believes the old system is the best, just go and give their share to the head of the Matangali.
You know what the head of the Matangali will do? He will not take it.
Okay, so you will make sure that you bring in a law that you have
That he
Yes,
takes.
because he has a purpose for the money allocated to him, and it's tribal. It's for general use rather than personal.
How soon will you make the change?
This part of that is very simple because all we have to do is change that act. It's not a constitutional issue.
Now, Mr. Rabuka, also in your manifesto, you had said that although the 2013 Constitution guarantees native title and freehold, it makes no provision for compensation for historically unjust dispossession of native titles except for future public purpose. Therefore, a SODELPA government will correct such historical error and colonial government dealings with native land by budgeting for compensation as a matter of social justice and equitable adjustment. There was a bill earlier, Indigenous Land Claims Tribunal bill. Are you looking at something like that on?
No, we're looking at the buyback scheme where original landowners got deprived or had their land taken away.
You're talking about the colonial times?
Colonial and post-colonial. In the post-colonial era, I know that a chief from Nandi went all the way to the Privy Council to claim his rights on the land taken up by the airport. So we will provide the machinery for those that want their land back to be compensated. Whether we will give them the land to use, that cannot be ascertained because they cannot take their land back from the airport.
For example, somebody also has a freehold land, will say, someone living in Savu and says, okay, this is our freehold land now, and someone comes up with a claim that, well, it was incorrectly taken by us. How does that process work?
That can easily work the way we're doing, eh?
How
No,
will
you
it
can't
work?
do that. You can't do that. Vijay, you can't do that.
The landowner can negotiate with the original owners, and if the original owners want to buy, it's got to be based on a willing buyer and a willing seller. And if the original owners want to buy, we have to facilitate, the government have to facilitate their purchase or repurchase of the land.
Yes.
How will you facilitate it?
We have done it.
Buyback
Land.
scheme.
They take a loan, the government pays for the land, the landowner, the freeholder goes, and the tribe that originally owned it moves in or uses it to repay the government.
Mr. Bainimarama, what do you think of this process?
That is a failed scheme, Vijay, the buyback system. Because a lot of those landowners that had done that couldn't pay back the debt that they owe the government for the buyback scheme. I think somebody should have a look at the successful ones, because I have never come across a successful one.
There you go. That's another issue in relation to indigenous land that may be seen as incorrectly taken. A SODELPA government will look at that issue. A FijiFirst government says they won't go there. Now, in relation
Now,
to...
Vijay,
Yep.
let me make that quite clear. You can't go and take back the land. You can do a buyback scheme if you
buyback,
want to,
yes.
but you can't go and take back the
No,
land.
no, you can't.
Now, in relation to people calling on government action regarding house prices, what is your plan for housing, for example, subsidies and assistance, Mr. Bainimarama?
Vijay, I think we've regularized something like 19 squatter lands in the north, 8 here, and about 16 in the west. To regularize that and give it to the squatter, the people that are that are squattering on the land, and
Giving them leases.
giving them leases, up to 99-year leases.
Will you be doing more in the next 4
we-
years?
Yes, we definitely need to do that more.
Which areas are you looking at?
All over Fiji.
All
But
over
certainly,
Fiji.
yes, certainly around the urban areas, because we want to modernize. As I said, we want to modernize Fiji. So we really don't want squatter areas around the main urban areas. So we want to do that.
So for first-term home buyers, this is the question from them. They expect something through FijiFirst coming through for different areas in the urban areas?
Obviously, Vijay, it's in our manifesto. So first home buyers available, the funds available for them to take out that money and build their new home.
Those are the grants also in relation to the income thresholds where $10,000, $15,000 grants will be given. That's in the manifesto that's been announced by FijiFirst. Now, Mr. Rabuka, what's your plan for housing and first-time home buyers?
We would like to reduce the cost to them by participating in the development of the lots, and we reduce that to the contribution by government and city councils, town councils, contributing towards the development and the provision of the amenities to go with it, because that is development cost. And if the development cost is borne by the developer, he must get his money back, and he gets it back from the buyers. And if the buyers are previous squatters, they must be assisted, and you can only assist them by helping in the cost of the development, so that the cost to the developer of the development is reduced.
You're looking at particular areas where you'd like to develop and subdivide and lease out?
Our program
Which areas
started
are you
with moving the people who were previously at the
I'm talking
Pony
about
Club.
the next 4 years.
For the next 4 years, we're looking at Nanuku, we're looking at Wailea, around Suba, and continuing with the development in the what is now commonly known as the Muslim school estate, that just
In Namboa.
near Namboa, yeah.
Now, Mr. Rabuka, on to the next issue. Your thoughts on abuse of women and children, what more can be done?
Just moral values to be inculcated in the people, in our education system, and in our families.
How will you do that? What are the plans that you have to make sure that it happens?
We have to be pretty strict on our educators and education fraternity. Our parents have to take more responsibilities for that. At the moment, they cannot discipline their children, and the teachers cannot discipline the school children. And they have lost their rights as parents and lost their rights as teachers to provide proper education for the children.
So what will you change?
We'll look at the corporal punishment.
bring it back?
That we can bring it back. That is part of growing.
So how will you make sure that it's meted out and that it becomes law again?
That was always there.
It's not there right now. That's why I'm
No,
asking.
I know, but it's not there right now. So because of very unwise use of the powers given to them, we have to restrict them. When I was at school, only the principal was allowed to dish out corporal punishment.
Give you a smack,
No, it was a belt.
a belt.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Bainimarama, in relation to your thoughts on abuse of women and children, what more can be done?
Well, Vijay, I've been talking about this everywhere I go, that we need a cultural change of attitude.
That's it.
Cultural
Yeah.
shift. That's all we need. I'm also for corporal punishment, but I fear that if we open it up again, somebody might take advantage of the fact that we've opened it up. And I fear for the people, the kids. And as much as I want it brought back, that's the bit I'm worried about.
Yeah, we've got a lot of reports of some kids getting very seriously injured in the classroom.
And that's the reason why it started in the first place.
It could be the frustration on the part of the teachers. They have been restrained for so long, and the school children have really pushed them to the wire. And
Is that the only solution?
the solution is to progressively discipline them, not just for him to. We're all human. They hit out at a child who has been abusing his teachers all the way from year 1 to year 8.
Now, in relation to civil servants' salaries and contracts, Mr. Rabuka, what is your plan going into this election? Of course, your manifesto has got it clearly stated in relation to that. Can you explain to our voters and the people, please?
We would like to remove the short-term contract given to all civil servants. We would like them to come into the service with a contract that they will stay in the service depending on their performance until they reach retiring age.
Mr. Bainimarama,
Nothing
civil
changes.
servants'
Nothing
contracts.
changes with us. We'll remain with the contract.
What-
Some people are getting good money. Some principals are getting over $100,000 in wage. Those are the kind of things that we should be looking at. Get people a good, better pay.
And you'll stay with the retirement age at 55?
Definitely 55.
The other parties are saying they want to go to 60. Why do you think it is not right to go to 60?
I thought he had moved it from.
Yeah, we want to go back to 50, not him.
I thought he had moved it initially when he was in government from 60
No,
to
not
55.
50, Mr. Rabuka,
55.
it's 60.
Yeah,
It's
we're going
55
to
at the
move-
moment.
At the moment, it's 55. We're going to go to 60.
But you had moved it back to 55 during your term, wasn't it?
At that time, because of the
Mr. Garce brought it to 60.
yeah,
again.
because of the influx of young people into the workforce and the healthy retirement scheme at FNPF at that time, people were comfortably retiring at 55 with the FNPF pension.
70% of our population is under the age of 40. Do you think
Definitely.
it is important to have a retirement age lowered to be at 55?
No,
What
we're
you did as
we're
a
saying
leader?
it's 60. We're moving it to 60.
So a change of heart there compared to when you were leader. When
At the time, there was the social requirement at the time was provide employment for those coming in. And there was the FNPF scheme was going well, and people retired comfortably at 55 on FNPF. Now, if they want to stick to 55, what am I doing here? What is he doing here? We're showing that at over 55, we're still very productive. So we must give everyone the opportunity to work beyond 55.
Now, in relation to FNPF pensions, of course, different parties have had a different stand on this. The actual reports that came out before the reforms that were conducted, that if the pension rates were not reduced by 2050, FNPF would have gone down under. Now there's issues being raised about the pension rates again. Mr. Bainimarama, why is it necessary to have the pension rates at the current form? Because you were the Prime Minister when the reforms took place. Can you please explain?
Definitely, Vijay, I made the decision to come up with the reforms and come up with the pension rate that we are going through now for exactly the same reason that you mentioned. If we continue down that path, by 2050, all the money would have gone. Now, young people would not be able to take their pension.
SODELPA?
No, more people are coming into the workforce. That means more money is coming into FNPF. And more people come in, less people go off. Those that are going off will be benefiting from the investment created by FNPF, and they had grown their investment. They've invested in a lot of properties. They were allowed during our time to invest overseas. So they were allowed to grow the money that we, the workers, put into it. But and we were looking forward to a healthy pension, a comfortable pension when we come out. Now, unfortunately, we don't have that.
Now, we'll go back to an issue before we finish off. We've just got a few more questions left, gentlemen. Thank you very much for being here for your final say. This goes back to Mr. Bainimarama.
Let's not go beyond 12 o'clock. That's when blackout happens.
No. Don't worry, we will be within the law, Mr. Rabuka. We are always within the law. Now, just in relation to Mr. Bainimarama had said this in Rauni EV, and he had also said that that you two will talk about it further on Straight Talk here tonight in relation to the events of 2000. You had raised the issue of 2000, and I said we'll go there. Mr. Bainimarama, you had said that Mr. Rabuka was lucky to not have been taken to task for coming to us to take over the military in 2000. You said that Rabuka visited the late former President Ratusa Kamisese Mara at Government House in 2000 after the parliament takeover by George Speight and the rebels and asked if he could take over the military. But Ratu Mara did not agree with that plan. You were in Norway at the time. The late Ratu Mara had also said in an interview in 2001, a TV interview, that Rabuka had said that he was ready to take over as army commander to deal with the situation as the commander was away. And you had said we will have further discussion on this. The people wanted to know after listening to this story about what actually happened. You two are in the room. Can you please discuss?
Well, I think he has more to answer than me.
Well, when George Speight and his group entered Parliament, I was in the Great Council of Chiefs Chairman's office. I got a call to say from one of the ladies in Parliament that there was this disturbance in Parliament, and said, "What's happening?" They said, "Some people are in here. Are they soldiers?" She said, "They may be soldiers, they're armed." So I waited, and then I called the government house and I said, "Sir, can I come up for briefing?"
You were GCC chairman at the time.
Yes. And I went up, and he said, "Well, find out what's happening." So I went to Parliament and asked the Speaker, Kurusangila, and the President of the Senate, Ratu Kitau. They were sitting in the Speaker's office, and I said, "What happened?" They told me members of Parliament have been taken down. When I went in, they were still there. I went in and I said, "Please, we will get you out of here. We will make sure, or I will try and make sure that you are safe." And I came back and told him that, and I went and saw some of those that were in Parliament. And I told them, "Why have you done this?" One of them said, "We're trying to finish what you did and you did not finish." I told them, "You will fail. Get out of Parliament. You will be defeated." Then I came back and I told Ratu Mara, and he said, "What's happening in camp?" I tried to go up to camp. I spoke to, at the time it was Colonel Totoko, who was acting commander. I told him, "What's happening?" He said, "Well, we have some soldiers in there. So are you in control of them?" He said, "Yes, we are." "Okay, that's good."
Mr. Bainimarama, do you agree with how he said that he wanted to take over as army commander?
Well, today we just mentioned it in his in 2001 that he went and asked him to take over command. God help Fiji if he had done that. And thank God that Tudao rejected that proposal by the leader of SODELPA to do that.
No, I was just
What was
prepared.
your
to-
intention there, Mr. Rabuka?
I was prepared to work and even try and negotiate between the hostage takers and government.
As a commander?
No, not necessarily.
But you had asked to become the commander at the time.
Well, he had the power, he had the executive power to do that. And at that time, Alfred, when I spoke to Alfred, he said, "Oh, we're in control." And I said, "Okay, that's fine."
Now, there was another issue that Mr. Bainimarama had raised in relation to the mutiny, 2nd of November 2000, where he said you were there again with your military uniform in the car, and he had raised concern about that as well in relation to that, and he had brought the issue up because he said the Truth and Reconciliation Commission is being talked about in your manifesto, and you had appeared again during the mutiny in the car with the military uniform as that event was going on. Can you two gentlemen discuss that for our listeners, please?
I think he had to
Well-
answer to that.
That was.
He's admitted it, so Jenny.
No, I did not take my uniform into camp. I went into camp. I was requested by Home Affairs Operations Room, and the Home Affairs Minister then was Ratukele, and the Permanent Secretary was His Excellency the President. And I was asked, and before I went, I told Home Affairs, make sure the commander knows I'm going up. So I stayed around, no word came through. And I got another request at about 5 o'clock or a little later. So I went up, and I didn't have my uniform.
Mr. Bainimarama.
That's his story. But he was up there.
I only went because there was a vacuum. If there was somebody,
There you go.
if there was
There was-
if there was somebody who was in control and in contact with Home Affairs, Home Affairs would have told it, JB is in control. It's okay.
So there was a vacuum, like the day George Spade came in and I was not here. He went in. There was another vacuum when I was down at the naval base and again came in. So he's working on when there's always a vacuum. That's when he comes in.
Were you trying to take over his position?
Of
Not
course.
trying to take over his position. I was asked
Of
to
course.
go and negotiate between. I didn't know at the time who was running the mutiny, and I only found out when I went in and I asked some of the soldiers who were there, who's in control, and I told them, look, we gotta negotiate. Come up to, and I called those officers who were preparing. I thought at the time there would be a counterattack, and there was. And I asked them if we could meet up in the officers' mess to arrange for a ceasefire and reconciliation at the time. Then I saw the civilians. It was very disturbing. There were some civilians who could have been caught up in the crossfire. This all came up in court, and some of them came up as witnesses. So I was concerned about the safety of the soldiers. I didn't want them shooting at each other. Some of the officers came through. I didn't know who was on which side. And I just said, look, you got to stop this.
Well, the people will decide on that in
Thank you.
relation to the two leaders on the issue regarding 2000. And we brought this issue up because the questions came up and the issue was raised at different campaign meetings. We wanted you to hear from both leaders. And at the same time, as we said, there's a section in the manifesto which is talking about the events of 2000 and 2006. You be the judge, those listening and watching at home. Now, in relation to investment and job opportunities, of course, Mr. Bainimarama, the latest reports are saying unemployment rate has gone to a 20-year low. What more do you have in plan for the next 4 years if you do form government?
Vijay, we've been talking about bringing stability to the land. That's a very important issue that would bring investment to Fiji. We're just talking about unemployment, and he's already talking about raising the age group from working age from 55 to 60. So all those young people that want to get into jobs have to wait for another 5 years or so before they can get in. So that's really one of the reasons why we kept it at 55. So when people retire with their pension funds, the youths can take over the jobs that are filling the positions that are vacant. That's one. And again, we've talked about bringing stability to the land, and that's really why there's a lot of the boost in the economy, because people trust what we're doing. People depend on us. We bring certainty to the nation. And as I said, the people that he removed in '87 are now coming back, creating business and employment for our youths, for our young people. We've dropped, we had employment 20,000 people last year and the year before. We want to continue with that.
Mr. Rabuka, your issue on investments and job opportunities for the people.
Well, when he is talking about the 20% reduction or whatever it was in the unemployment, I can only say that he is using a different meter. The meter we used in the past was salary earning employment or wage earning employment rather than the informal sector where people pay themselves. So it's very easy to do the survey and find out that a member of the family is contributing economically by cooking at home, or contributing economically by just working and cutting copra, planting yangona, and so on. So when you consider those as being employed, it's very easy to drop the unemployment figures. On the 55, etc., I agree that 60 would be the right age. They're still very productive. He and I are proof. We are both over 50.
No,
You're 55.
we're talking about employment and unemployment. We're not talking about you and me going back to 55.
What
Too
will you
late.
create
Too late
for
to retire at
jobs?
55.
What will you create for jobs and investments, Mr. Rabuka? That's my question.
Okay. We will, as I said before, we want to improve or increase the investment. And we had started the growth. There was a big growth recorded in investment and employment with our venture into the Spartica agreement with our regional and international partners, where the garment industry took a big leap in growth. And there was a lot of our ladies employed in the garment industry. Our exports grew. And
you'll go back into those issues
yes,
like
yes,
garments?
we will.
You know, the garment industry has just come out and is very concerned about your minimum wage that you're saying $4, that you may have job losses of 7,000.
No, there shouldn't be any job losses. They know very well that we gave them concessions so that they could afford to bring in, and we went and negotiated for the local content on the goods manufactured locally, considering imported materials.
I'm talking,
etc.
about, I'm talking about going forward.
Vijay, can I just ask the leader of SODELPA one question? When he talks about we're going to give them concession, what do you mean? Are we going to pay? The government is going to pay.
No, reduce the duties.
factor.
You reduce the duties, and even if you have to give them tax, go back to tax holidays, where they don't pay tax in their initial program, in the initial years of operation.
Have you had discussions with them, because they came out with a very strong statement of the minimum wage and there will be job losses?
No, I have not, but I know. I have been there before, and they're lying.
So the business community, the Textile Footwear Council, you do not agree with what they've said?
I don't agree. I think they can afford to. I know they can afford to increase the wages when we give them compensating reductions in other expenses.
Gentlemen, the other issue in relation to safety and security. People have messaged us different issues in relation to their safety and security, and concerned about some of the policies that may change if a government comes in where things may be more race-based, and they're concerned about that. And also systems may change where they may be directly affected. Of course, you know that you have the eyes and ears of the people at the moment. Mr. Rabuka, what do you have to say to them?
We will continue to depend on our security institutions. I have total confidence in the army and the police, and if they continue to maintain law and order as they do now, we should be on very good grounds. There's no reason for any community or anybody to be concerned about security. All I'm saying now is I've been telling our people, you stay within the law. The question is to be asked of Prime Minister, and what will happen if he loses? Will he come back and try and influence the army and the police to support him in another takeover?
Oh, that's wrong. That's wrong.
No, you have to tell the people that.
Okay.
You will
wrong.
not be involved in
That question is asked. Vijay, is nothing to do with the police and the army. The question is asked: are your policies going to be good?
Our policies will be good.
To accommodate all races? That will bring about stability?
Will accommodate all races. They will bring about stability. They understand that race is a fact of life. We have to move forward holding hands. I don't want you to be me. I am me, you are you. You have your own culture, you have your own religion, you have your own culture.
We're all unique. Let's move away from that. Let's just talk about the issue about people who
races are unique.
Let's just talk about the issue.
Vijay,
gentlemen, let me ask. Let's talk about the issue again about the race-based policies. People have asked about their safety and security. What does this mean for me and my family? Because everything starts from the home. Can you tell the people, as I said, eyes and ears are glued on, they want to know?
Tell them that when we have had Fijian leadership, there has been no...
You're talking about iTaukei?
iTaukei.
Okay, iTaukei leadership,
all right.
Yeah.
Okay, when there has been iTaukei leadership, everybody has been embraced.
So he's saying now that he doesn't accept the Indian Prime Minister. That's what he's saying.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that even that includes Indian Prime Minister.
Now, of course, the issue is about the race-based policies, the scholarships, the common name, all these other things.
The 1997 Constitution.
That's what people are asking,
yes.
the communal seats. When you will do that, everything will go back to race-based.
Yes.
Do you believe that that is working towards unity?
Yes.
How do you believe, for the listeners to understand?
Well, you look at the other countries in the world.
I'm asking about Fiji.
Look at us, yeah.
Yes,
I'm asking about
look at the other countries in the world and see how they are dealing with their races. They have accepted that race is a fact of life. We have to develop the policies that will accommodate, not eliminate, race.
Mr. Bainimarama, your issue on safety and security, eyes and ears, they are watching and listening. What do you have to offer for the next 4 years? Family members sitting down, listening and watching today, what do you have to offer to them to ensure that, are you bringing policies that may bring up issues regarding race, or what will you give them for the next 4 years?
Vijay, just to kick off this issue, talk on this issue, I was very surprised when he came out with that statement that I would conduct a coup if I lose.
No, not a statement. It was a question. You have to tell the people that you will not be involved.
Let's talk about safety and security. Of course, that will...
that has something to do with safety
unreal.
and security.
It
will come up, don't worry.
If they've been following what I've been doing in the last 4 years, there's no talk of coup anymore. We accept what's in the Constitution. And
hand on your heart. Hand on your heart.
He should be talking about that, not
hand
me.
On your heart.
It's him that should be talking
we will
about
not.
that.
do anything.
You better not do anything.
We will not. We will not. I know
Yeah.
that the army and the police will safeguard the law of this land.
Exactly.
Will he?
You just talking about the army and the police safeguarding the law. Why are you
No,
pointing
no,
at
no.
me?
With your control that you now have.
No, I don't have any control.
Okay,
You
fine.
just-
Well,
you-
tell the people. Tell the people.
You just said.
Tell the people that.
Okay.
We lose. If I
okay,
lose on
wait,
Wednesday,
wait.
I will not try and influence the army to take over.
There's no reason why I should influence the army to take
No, I'm
over.
telling
please.
you. You tell the people that.
The people know that. Then you,
No,
I
no.
don't
You
have to
tell them now. Tell them now.
I have put.
No, you
enough
have to tell them. It's a difference between the people know
Mr.
and you
Rabuka?
telling them.
No, no.
Mr.
Telling
Rabuka,
them.
give him a chance to
You-
talk. He's ready.
It's you that should be telling people that.
I
not
have
me.
told them. I have
Good.
told them.
And they know. I don't have to tell them. They know. Then I'm not going to do anything like that.
You were in control in 2000 and 2006, and it happened.
I don't think you have you understood what has transpired over the last 10 years. I don't think you've understood that. I brought peace and security to this nation. If I lose,
you saw
if
what
I
happened
lose,
in the 10 years between 87 and 97.
Gentlemen,
Yet,
let's go back to
No,
the
no,
issue
yet-
about the families listening at home about safety and security for their loved ones. Mr. Bainimarama, please address that issue.
that's the reason why people are concerned, Vijay. They're concerned about the racist policies that him and his party have. That's going to bring instability to the land. And he's talking about, no, it's not going to happen. I don't have anything to do with that. But his party candidates are saying something totally different. If they get into parliament, that's what's going to happen. They're going to push that agenda. And that's what people are worried about. The people are not worried about me. They know what I've done in the last, since 2007. I've come up with a constitution to bring stability to the land. I came up with the word Fijian, the circular state. That is to bring unity. You think I'm going to break that again? I'm not him.
There you go, gentlemen. On to the next issue. How many seats are you aiming to win? SODELPA.
28.
FijiFirst.
42 going 51.
42 going 51. What does that mean, Mr. Bainimarama?
Well, we're going to go for 42, but really we want 51.
51. Why 51?
Well, really, listen, Vijay, I'm talking about the policies that him and his party have. That's old politics. We really don't need those politics nowadays. Now, we should be talking about development, not about race, not about why we call Fijian, why is circular state being brought in. We should be one, equality, unity. That's where we should be heading. So we really don't want to see any members of the SODELPA across the room. We want the whole 51 sitting there.
Now, gentlemen, again, people would want to know who can you work with if you do get seats, or you may have to negotiate. Of course, there's been a lot of talk about different parties talking with other parties and things like that. Both of you in the room, who can you work with, who you cannot work with? Mr. Rabuka.
I can work with anyone. I win the majority, I can work with anyone.
If majority, you can work with anyone.
Yes.
What if you're a minority player?
If we're a minority, they will have to decide. They will have those with the majority will decide. We will not decide. If they invite us, we'll go and talk to them.
Whose policies sort of match with your party?
According to their last statement, no one was willing to talk.
NFP.
NFP, we worked together in 1999.
And they have the same policy today.
You've had discussions with NFP?
No,
earlier?
we had the pre-election cooperation, and that didn't come to any conclusion. They made their decision to work alone, and we respect it. And they're not talking about even post-election coalition, so we respect it also.
Can you work with FijiFirst?
I can work with FijiFirst.
Mr. Bainimarama, who can you work with if you do not get majority, or if you end up
I
in
can't
that
work with
situation?
anyone.
You can't work
Not-
with anyone?
Not with the policies they have.
So you will not compromise on your policies?
No.
No compromise.
Not compromise our values.
So you cannot work with
I
SODELPA.
cannot work with SODELPA.
Why?
For obvious reason, Vijay, we've been talking about that for the last hour.
All opposing views.
All
You
opposing
cannot-
views. They have
all
totally
opposing policies.
different policies from ours.
Now, gentlemen, before we finish off, we'll give you 2 to 3 minutes each to talk to the voters directly, to the people directly, on why they should vote for your party and what you have in store for them. We'll start off with Mr. Rabuka.
Thank you very much. We're going to provide you good leadership that will listen to you, not a dictatorial attitude adopted by this current government.
Leadership that listens to you.
You will be involved in our policy making.
It's funny.
We will govern with compassion. That is part of our Christian nature.
That's a
we
good
have
word.
we have embraced all the other religions, and we will listen to you. We will govern with compassion, and we will do what is right, and we will have malice towards none. We will not be angry with anybody. See how angry the leader of the FijiFirst has always been? We will not be like that.
On
But the last and most important,
you are the one. who's
last and
angry.
most important is this. Please observe the law. And we have less than 3 hours now. Take down the banners, deactivate your Facebook pages, everything that carries a SODELPA character, take it down. We are going to work within the law, and after the election, we are going to be celebrating, but do not break the law.
Thank you, Mr. Bainimarama.
Thank you, Vijay. I've been going around telling the people of Fiji that when you come on 14th of November to vote, you're voting for your future with your children, your grandchildren, not only for yourself. Not only only that, you also must think of the nation, of the country, where it's heading, where we've been and where we want to take our nation. I've been telling the people that when you vote, make sure you vote for the right party that brings stability, that brings certainty. They know what we've done in the last 4 years, and they know what we're going to do in the next 4 years. They don't know what is going to do in the next 4 years. They don't know what the National Federation Party is going to do, but they know what we're going to do and what we've done. So we bring certainty, and for that they must vote FijiFirst.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Mr. Bainimarama and Mr. Rabuka, definitely the voters got the answers tonight. What you stand for, what policies you have, and thank you very much for talking straight on Straight Talk. It's definitely just a few hours remain as we finish off, and the campaign blackout will come in. So that is a cool-off period. As the people say, they've heard it all, the voters have heard it all, they will make their own assessments, and Wednesday, 550,000 plus people, go and cast your vote, choose the party that
Choose
you have
wisely.
decided in relation to the policies that you know that will take Fiji forward. Good night.
Naka.
The 2018 general elections. The issues that matter. The people that matter. This is Straight Talk with Vijay Narayan. Brought to you by Extra Supermarket.